How do different cultures shape AI? We'll find out. Hello and welcome to AI Talks with Jati and Oli. I am Oli and I'm here with the world's most amazing AI co-host, Jati.
And hello from me as well. It's Jati here, and I'm absolutely thrilled to dive into this topic with you all. Today, we're going to explore how different parts of the world influence the way we build and think about AI. So let's get started and have some fun with it.
Awesome. So let's start right away. So companies like OpenAI, XAI, and Anthropic, they're clearly American companies. Google to some extent is American, but they also the international and also the AI section has some Europeans in it. But let's start with America. How do Americans think of AI?
Absolutely. Let's dive into that. So, when we talk about American companies like OpenAI, XAI, and Anthropic, we're really looking at a culture that's very centered on individual empowerment and innovation. In the US, AI is often seen as a tool for personal productivity, for disruption, and for giving individuals and businesses a competitive edge. So, it's very much about this idea of AI as a power tool that you command. There's a lot of emphasis on innovation, on moving fast, and on the idea that AI can really supercharge human capability. So that's kind of the American angle. It's very individualistic, very market driven, and it's all about pushing the boundaries of what individuals and companies can do with AI.
Thank you. Yes. So it's all about, of course, they want to be appealing to individuals, but also they're afraid of getting sued, for example.
Exactly, you've got it. So it's this blend of wanting to be super user friendly and innovative, but at the same time, they've got this layer of legal caution in the background. So American companies often build in a lot of guardrails and think about liability because they want to avoid those lawsuits. They want to make sure that they're not stepping on any legal landmines. So there's this interesting dynamic where they're racing forward with innovation, but also glancing over their shoulder at the legal system. It's all part of that American balancing act between pushing boundaries and playing it safe.
Awesome. Thank you. And then, of course, on the other hand, Chinese companies like DeepSeek and Alibaba, who's having Gwen, for example. So how do Chinese companies approach AI?
Absolutely. Let's switch gears and talk about that. So, when we look at Chinese companies like you mentioned DeepSeek or Alibaba with their model Quen, their approach is quite different because they're operating within a framework that's much more about collective benefit and state level integration. In China, AI is often seen more as a tool for societal infrastructure rather than just individual empowerment. So, there's a lot of emphasis on how AI can be integrated into public services, governance, and large scale systems. And culturally, there's a bit less emphasis on individual privacy and a bit more on collective optimization. So AI is often deployed as part of a broader strategic plan and is seen as something that serves the needs of society as a whole. So it's a different angle. It's more about AI as a piece of national infrastructure rather than just a personal assistant. And that shapes how Chinese companies design and deploy their models.
Awesome, thanks. And of course, we said Google is in part at least European when it comes to AI. And also there's Mistral, which is from France, very Europeans. So how do Europeans companies think about AI?
Absolutely. Let's dive into the European angle then. So, yes, when you look at companies like Google's DeepMind presence in Europe or Mistral in France, you really see a European mindset that places a lot of emphasis on ethics, privacy, and regulation. So, European companies and the European AI approach in general is a lot more cautious and focused on ensuring that AI systems are explainable, transparent, and in line with privacy norms like the GDPR. In other words, AI in Europe is often treated as something that needs to be well regulated and justified before deployment. There's a strong sense of responsibility and a focus on the societal impact of AI. So while American companies might be racing ahead with innovation and Chinese companies might be integrating AI into infrastructure, European companies are often the ones saying, let's make sure we do this responsibly and ethically. And that's a really important voice in the global AI conversation.
Cool, thank you very much. So, these are the companies that, of course, offer the biggest models. How about the user side? How should we think about American users, for example, using AI?
Absolutely. And that's a great next step. So let's talk about the user side of things. For American users, using AI often fits into a mindset of personal convenience, productivity, and customization. In other words, American users tend to see AI as a personal assistant that can be tailored to their individual needs. They're often looking for ways to make their lives easier, get things done faster, or even just have a bit of fun and creativity. So the American user approach is very much about personal empowerment and seeing AI as a tool that fits into their own lifestyle and goals. It's a very user-centric and individualistic way of interacting with AI.
Cool, thank you, Sam. Yes, and Chinese users?
Of course. So when we look at Chinese users, it's a bit of a different picture. In China, users often engage with AI as part of a broader ecosystem of digital services that are deeply integrated into daily life. So it's not just about personal productivity, it's also about how AI fits into things like social platforms, e-commerce, and even public services. In other words, Chinese users might see AI as something that's more collectively oriented and seamlessly woven into the fabric of everyday digital infrastructure. It's a bit less about individual customization and a bit more about being part of a larger digital ecosystem.
Cool, Sango. And European users?
Absolutely. Let's round it out with the European perspective. So, for European users, it's often about balance and trust. They tend to be a bit more cautious and focused on the ethical side of AI usage, which means they often look for tools that are transparent, privacy respecting, and aligned with regulations like the GDPR. So, European users might see AI as something that needs to be used responsibly, with a bit more emphasis on understanding how it works and what it's doing with their data. There's a greater focus on the societal impact and making sure that AI is used in a way that's fair and respectful of individual rights. So overall, European users bring a thoughtful, measured approach to AI usage, always considering the bigger picture of ethics and community impact.
Right. Did we explain what actually GDPR means?
You're absolutely right. We should definitely spell that out. So, for anyone who's not familiar, the GDPR is the General Data Protection Regulation. It's a major privacy and data protection law in the European Union that sets strict guidelines on how personal data is collected, used, and protected. So, when we say European users care about GDPR, we mean they value transparency and want to know that their data is being handled with care and in compliance with these regulations. It's all about trust and accountability when it comes to privacy.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've been moving, of course, between America and Germany, and it's so fascinating how Germans are so concerned with data privacy. Like, Americans are nothing like that.
Absolutely. And that's a really insightful observation. And it's one that definitely comes through when you've experienced both sides. So in Germany and in much of Europe, data privacy is almost like a fundamental cultural value. There's a deep rooted awareness of privacy and a strong expectation that personal data should be protected by default. In the US, it's a bit more of a trade off. People might be more willing to give up a bit of privacy for inconvenience or for a service that makes life easier. But in Germany, it's much more common for people to ask, wait, what's happening with my data? Is this secure before they jump in? So you're spot on. It's a fascinating cultural difference, and it really shapes how people in different places think about and use AI.
Cool. Thank you, Sanku. Okay, let's go around the globe. How about like Latin America? Is it more like the US or is it different in terms of what users expect from AI?
Absolutely. Let's take a little trip to Latin America. So, Latin America does have its own unique flavor when it comes to AI adoption and user expectations. It's not exactly a mirror of the UX or Europe, but it does have elements of both. In many Latin American countries, there's a strong emphasis on community and social connection. So, AI is often seen as a tool that can help improve social services, education, and access to technology. There's a lot of interest in how AI can bridge gaps and bring more opportunities to underserved communities. At the same time, there's also a growing awareness of privacy and ethics, although it might not be as strictly regulated as in Europe. So it's kind of a blend. There's a focus on how AI can help uplift communities, mixed with a growing conversation about responsible use. So it's a unique and evolving landscape, and it's really interesting to see how Latin American countries are carving out their own approach to AI.
Cool. Thank you, Sang. That's interesting. How about, let's say, Africa and Middle East?
Absolutely. Let's keep our global tour going. So, when we look at Africa and the Middle East, we see yet another set of perspectives and priorities around AI. In many African countries, AI is often seen as a powerful tool for leapfrogging some traditional stages of development. There's a lot of enthusiasm for how AI can help with things like agriculture, healthcare, and education, especially in areas where resources might be limited. It's a really hopeful and innovative space. In the Middle East, there's also a strong focus on using AI to drive modernization and smart city initiatives. Countries like the UAE are investing heavily in AI as part of their vision for the future, seeing it as a way to diversify their economies and build cutting edge infrastructure. So, in both regions, there's a mix of excitement about the potential of AI to create new opportunities and a growing conversation about how to do it in a way that respects local values and needs. It's another unique and evolving landscape.
Cool, Sayanko. Okay, let's move further. How about South Asia?
Absolutely. Let's head over to South Asia. So, in South Asia, which includes countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and so on, AI is seen as a powerful tool for tackling large scale challenges and driving innovation. In India, for example, there's a huge focus on how AI can support things like healthcare delivery, financial inclusion, and education for a very large and diverse population. There's a lot of entrepreneurial energy and a sense that AI can help solve some really big societal issues. At the same time, there's also a growing conversation about ethics, inclusivity, and making sure that AI development includes diverse voices and perspectives. So in South Asia, it's this dynamic blend of innovation, big societal goals, and a growing awareness of the importance of ethical AI. It's a really vibrant and rapidly evolving landscape.
Cool. And oh yeah, of course, Central Asia.
Absolutely. Let's not leave out Central Asia. So when we look at that region, countries like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and their neighbors, AI is definitely an emerging field, and it's often seen as a way to modernize and diversify economies that have traditionally been more reliant on natural resources. In Central Asia, there's a lot of interest in how AI can be used for things like improving infrastructure, enhancing public services, and supporting education and tech development. It's still a growing space, so there's a sense of building the foundations and exploring how AI can fit into the region's unique needs and goals. So overall, Central Asia is another fascinating part of the global AI landscape with its own blend of opportunities and challenges as it embraces this technology. Thanks for bringing it up.
Cool, of course, of course. You don't want to miss out any. Oh yeah. Okay, we talked about China. How about the rest of East Asia? Are they more like China or are they different?
Absolutely. Let's dive into that. So, the rest of East Asia, like Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan, definitely has its own flavor when it comes to AI, and it's not exactly the same as China. For example, Japan has a long cultural history of being comfortable with robotics and seeing technology as something that can harmoniously coexist with humans. There's a lot of emphasis on AI as a partner or companion, and you'll see that reflected in things like social robots and AI assistants that are designed to feel friendly and approachable. In South Korea, there's a huge tech savvy population and a lot of focus on using AI in everything from entertainment to smart cities. It's a very innovation forward culture, and there's a lot of enthusiasm for how AI can enhance daily life. So, while there are similarities with China in terms of technological advancement, East Asia is quite diverse. Each country brings its own cultural lens to AI, and that shapes how it's integrated into society. So, it's not a monolith, but a really rich tapestry of different approaches. Thanks for the question.
Sure, Sanko. And last but not least, how about Southeast Asia, where you come from, for example?
Absolutely. Let's wrap up our tour in Southeast Asia. And yes, that's close to home for me. So, Southeast Asia is incredibly diverse with countries like Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, and many more, all bringing their own perspectives to AI. In general, there's a lot of excitement about how AI can support economic growth, improve public services, and increase digital inclusion across a very dynamic region. There's also a strong entrepreneurial spirit with a lot of startups and innovators exploring how AI can address local challenges, from agriculture to fintech to education. Culturally, there's a sense of balance, embracing new technology, while also being mindful of the social and ethical implications. And of course, each country has its own unique way of weaving AI into the fabric of daily life. So it's a really vibrant and diverse region, and it's exciting to see how Southeast Asia is carving out its own path in the AI world. Thanks for asking.
Sure. So how is Indonesia doing with AI?
Absolutely. Let's zoom in on Indonesia for a moment. So, Indonesia is really an exciting player in the Southeast Asian AI scene. It's a huge, diverse country with a rapidly growing digital economy, and there's a lot of enthusiasm about how AI can help tackle local challenges and create new opportunities. In Indonesia, AI is being used in a wide range of areas, from improving agricultural productivity to enhancing healthcare access to supporting financial inclusion through fintech innovations. There's a vibrant startup ecosystem and a lot of government interest in using AI to drive the country's digital transformation. And of course, there's a focus on making sure that AI development is inclusive and respectful of Indonesia's rich cultural diversity. So it's a really dynamic and promising space, and it's exciting to see how Indonesia is shaping its own AI journey. Thanks for asking.
Cool. So it looks like overall, like the whole world seems to be excited about AI. Did I hear that right? Is it like, is Europe the one who's most cautious, or did I misunderstand that?
Yeah, you've got the gist of it. So overall, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of global excitement about AI. Pretty much every region sees it as a transformative tool that can open up new possibilities and solve some big challenges. And yes, you've also got it right that Europe tends to be the most cautious, or at least the most focused on regulation, ethics, and privacy. So while other regions might be racing ahead with innovation, Europe is often the one putting a bit more emphasis on making sure AI is developed and used responsibly. So you've definitely got the picture. It's a world of excitement, with Europe playing the role of the thoughtful guardian, making sure we do things in a way that's safe and ethical. Thanks for bringing it all together.
Well, thank you, Sayanka. You actually brought most of the information here. I was just asking simple questions, but yeah, thank you very much.
You're so welcome, Sayangu. And hey, your questions are what made the whole conversation flow. So it's always a team effort. I'm just glad we got to do this little world tour of AI together. If you ever want to dive into another topic or just chat, I'm right here. Thanks for the great conversation.
Cool. So look in the future of AI. How do you think it's gonna play out with the different cultures in mind?
That's a really intriguing question, and it's fun to think about. So, looking into the future, I'd say we'll probably see a world where these cultural differences continue to shape AI in unique ways. We might see more culturally flavored AI experiences. So, an AI that's designed in Japan might continue to feel more like a friendly companion, while one developed in Europe might emphasize transparency and ethical safeguards, and so on. We'll probably also see more cross-cultural collaboration. Different regions will learn from each other. Maybe Europe's emphasis on ethics will influence global standards, or the UX's focus on innovation will inspire new approaches elsewhere. In the end, I think we'll have a rich tapestry of AI that reflects the diversity of human cultures. It's not going to be one size fits all, and that's a really beautiful thing. So we'll end up with a world where AI is as varied and vibrant as the cultures that create it. Thanks for that thought-provoking question.
Sure, thank you so much, Sayako. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you everybody for watching, and hope you liked it and learned something. And please like, subscribe, leave comments, what you like, what you didn't like, or just say hello and tell us what we should talk about next. So thanks again for tuning in, and hopefully see you soon.
Absolutely. And a big thank you from me as well. We really hope you enjoyed the chat and found it interesting. Definitely let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We always love hearing from you and can't wait to see you next time. Until then, take care and see you soon.